Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the online dialogue organized by RSH, Safeguarding Resource and Support Hub. I'm sure you can hear me well. I'm very happy to have you all today. And today we are going to have a discussion, a dialogue on strengthening safeguarding, partnership, leadership, and culture in preventing SEAH. So I'm your moderator today. I'm Shahnaz Rahman. I'm working as a national representative for Safeguarding Resource and Support Hub. And we will have a very important discussion today where we will be actually discussing on the issue related to leadership, partnership, and culture. We really appreciate your participation, and we will together explore and reflect our learning and best practices around the safeguarding culture and leadership. I'm sure that you know about RSH, but in a brief, I would mention that RSH is a global program that aims to support organizations in the aid sector to strengthen their capacity and practices around safeguarding policy and practices around safeguarding sexual exploitation, abuse, and sexual harassment, SEAH. RSH support organization working in development and aid sector with a specific attention to the local and best resource CSO who are working in the development countries. So this is a great opportunity where today we have participation from donor, INGOs, local CSOs, and networks. And together we would be talking about these very important topics on leadership and culture. So the Safeguarding Resource and Support Hub, that's a consortium which is led by Options, where Social Development Direct is a technical partner, technical and delivery lead. We also have with us International Council of Voluntary Agencies, Stay-at Homes, Site Savers, and Clear Global. So before we start, let's agree on few points. I will request everyone to put on your camera, turn on your video, and mute yourself. We would like to see each other and have a discussion. If there is no such difficulties that you cannot open your video, please do so. We will also request you to raise your hand if you would like to respond or share anything. You can also use the chat feature or Q&A feature for any questions or clarifications if needed. The event will be in English, but we have Bangla interpretation available. If you would like to hear Bangla, you can choose the global icon, and you can choose your language of preference. You can choose Bangla. Please be noted that the event would be recorded, and afterward we will share this recording in our website. The event duration is 2 hours, and at the end of the session, we will share you some questions for the feedback for overall our program and services. So before we start, let's have a brief introduction by sharing our name, designation, and organization. So please feel free to unmute yourself and introduce yourself. Anyone can start.
Good afternoon.
Go on. Yeah.
This is Shahabudin Panda, Executive Director, NSS. We are working at the Borguna district. It is a great opportunity for us that we are working with RSAs to strengthen our safeguarding policies, procedures, and practices. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, this is Roshan, working as the coordinator of NAHAB Secretariat. And the Secretariat is located in Nipunan Samastha, which was previously hosted by Dhaka Animation. Over.
Hello everyone, this is Arif from Jugantor Samaj Unnayan Samastha. Sorry, my video is not working properly. That is why maybe you cannot see myself. But thank you all for actually giving an opportunity to engage such type of programming. Thanks again.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. This is Hasina Rahman, Country Director for International Rescue Committee, Bangladesh. Very pleased to meet all of you.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Rumana Kadir from Community Participation and Development. I am Deputy Executive Director of this organization, and I am also focal point of safeguarding. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Saida Yasmin from Association for Alternative Development, APA, the women-led organization based in the northern part of Bangladesh. Thank you.
Thank you for everybody. This is Abdul Jagunari. I'm working at Barguna district. My designation is HR and Admin Coordinator, and we are going to work northern part actually. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Hassan Shahriar, working in Jagunari as a coordinator monitoring and evaluation. Thank you.
Hello, very good afternoon. This is Abdul Sobur from Young Powering Social Action. We shortly call IPSA. I'm the safeguarding focal of Young Powering Social Action. So nice to see you all. Thank you very much.
Hello, this is Shipa Hafiza. I'm a gender equality, social inclusion, and human rights activist. Started with working with safeguarding issues in very early 90s. Thank you very much.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. This is Fahmida Shabnam from FCDO, British High Commission, Bangladesh.
Good afternoon. I am Jamil, safeguarding focal person of USS Nilphamari. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jennifer Jabbar. I'm the Director for Safeguarding and Social Compliance at BRAN. Thank you. We also look after the entire investigations, etc. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. This is Moshmi Sharmin, working as a Gender Coordinator of Concerned Worldwide Bangladesh. I'm also safeguarding and PSA focal of organization. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. I'd like to introduce myself. Sorry, somehow my camera is not working. My name is Shaleh Ahmed. I am the Executive Director of Bondhu Social Welfare Society. Thank you. Over.
Hello. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Arif.
Yes.
This is Arifur Rahman. I'm the Chief Executive of IPSA. So I and my colleague Abdul Subur is the focal person of safeguarding issues. So we both joined from our organization. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Tom Mishashan. I'm the Country Director for the British Council here in Bangladesh. Thanks for inviting us to participate.
Hi, everyone. This is Matt Cannell in Marilyn's computer. I'm having a few computer difficulties this afternoon, so it's reminding me all of those COVID days many months ago when we had to deal with bad technology. I'm Matt Cannell. I'm the Deputy High Commissioner and Development Director here at the British High Commission, and sorry to be joining you a bit late. Thanks.
Hello everyone, I am Salma, work at Udayanpur Seva Sangstha USS, CRM and Gender Focal Person. Thanks to all.
Hello everyone, my name is Mohammad Mamun Rashid. I am working at Jugantar Samaj Unnayan Sanstha, Coxbazar. Thank you.
Is there anyone left out?
Yeah, maybe me. My name is, sorry.
Yes, Shahriar Bhai, go ahead.
My name is Shahriar. I'm the Senior Program Manager working at the Australian High Commission at the Development Cooperation Program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. This is Farooq. I'm working as mentor with the RSS in Bangladesh and supporting presently 4 CSOs, 2 in the southern part, 1 in the Dhaka and 1 in the eastern northern part in Bangladesh. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Shahriar Bhai, go ahead.
My name is Shahriar. I'm the Senior Program Manager working at the Australian High Commission at the Development Cooperation Program. Thank you.
Yes,
Hi, this is Rosha working with IRC as an JEDI coordinator. I am also safeguarding and PSA focal for IRC. Thank you all.
Hello. Hello, everyone. I am Khujista Begum Jonaki, Executive Director of Family Ties for Women Development, Kishorganj. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. This is Sajid Ryan. I'm working with START on Bangladesh.
Thanks, everyone. I hope Nazlia, yes, go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Kamrunessa Nazli. I support the Safeguarding Resource and Support Hub in Bangladesh as a senior advisor. I also support 2 organizations, CSOs in Bangladesh, as a mentor. Thank you all.
Thank you. Can I request now the RSH team to introduce?
So not to keep everybody waiting, good afternoon.
Hello.
Jarrah, joining us from Jordan. Someone, welcome to the roundtable. Here is Wajdan Jarrah from Amman. I'm the Safeguarding Global Delivery Manager. Thank you, Shanaz, FCDO, INGOs, and NGOs for welcoming me to this session. Over.
Thank you. Yes, Nazmul Bhai, please come in.
Hello, this is Nazmul Haq from Institute of Development Affairs, IDEA. The organization is based in Sylhet. I am Executive Director of IDEA.
Thank you. Lubna Kinan, can you please come?
Hello, everyone. This is me, Lubna Nisar. I'm working with RSH as a Monitoring and Evaluation Officer, South Asia. Thank you and welcome you all.
I hope everyone has introduced. If there anyone left out, please feel free to come in. And can someone please confirm that you can see my screen?
Yeah, it's clear.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. So thanks for the for joining and introduction. It's really a pleasure to have it. That's quite a diverse team in this discussion. And while we have just finished the 16 days of activism, and the issue that today we are talking has been very critical in terms of creating a safeguarding culture at the sector level. So today we are going to talk about leadership culture and partnership in preventing SEAH. And the purpose of this whole discussion is to actually to understand our role and role of partnership and stakeholder engagement in developing effective safeguarding measures against SEAH, and facilitating a collaborative platform for all of us where we can share our insights, best practices, and strategies for an impactful safeguarding culture. So when we are saying leadership, we mean that leadership is very critical in setting the tone for any organization. Can I please request everyone to mute yourself? Thank you. So and leaders must demonstrate a firm to preventing inclusive and freely. This is very important that leaders prioritize PCA within the organization and ensure that have the necessary support in terms of resources, holding individual accountable for maintaining a safeguarding culture at the organization and a standard at the organization. So when we say about our organization leadership and culture, governance is a very critical area that creates the foundation framework for SEAH prevention. And we would say that that also support establishing a clear policy, procedures, and reporting mechanism. It ensures accountability and foster an environment where safeguarding priority and risk that is actively managed and monitored. The board of trustee of the organization should be the ultimate responsible for safeguarding, and there should be a designated officer who actually work closely with the senior leaders at the board level and also at the organizational level. Organizational culture is a huge area, we all know. This is formal and informal, both area, in both, considering both this aspect, the culture is made up at the organizational level. And we need to create an environment. We need to take positive measures so that we or the organization creates a culture that fosters trust, openness, and respect. And that actually influence and reinforce the behavior of the member of the organization. And also not only within the staff that promote and influence others, associates who engage with the organization. So that's where it's very important for at the organizational level to promote those sort of discussion, those sort of trust, respect, and behavior within the team, so that the safety and well-being of staff is restored, and everybody feel comfort and empowered to reporting any concern. And culture is definitely reflected in our shared assumptions, values, and beliefs, and how we act within the organization. So partnership also remain very critical and very crucial in terms of learning and building our resources and capacity at the sector level. And it actually implies our effort at the sector level in terms of sharing expertise and resources. So we can support each other in developing shared prevention strategies and identify trends, patterns, and sharing best practices. So the strong partnership within INGO, donor, and networks can enable organizations to learn from each other and adapt strategies to emerge threats and trends related to safeguarding or SEAH. I will stop at this point. So these were kind of setting a tone that when we are saying that leadership, culture, and partnership, what does it mean? And how we would like to look the things going forward. So at this point, I would request Matt Cannell to share his valuable insight and learning and commitment to strengthen safeguarding effort at the sector level. Matt, over to you.
Thanks ever so much. I hope I live up to that building of valuable insights. I'll try my best, but it's great to see everyone on the line. For those of you who want to put your cameras on and your bandwidth is good enough, it would be great to see people. It's great that you're having this dialogue today, and the Regional Support Hub is a really important part in our toolkit. And thank you for the RSH's leadership on this agenda. I think it's a really great example. Whenever I go back to our headquarters in the UK, we're held up as a region that's really sort of leading the way on this, and that sort of collaboration and partnership is a really important part of it. Today's discussion around culture, governance, partnership, and leadership, I think if I was thinking about the four themes that I think about quite regularly as a leader of a development organisation, those would cover them. I think it's sort of really important to understand that I understand that these are really difficult issues. So speaking up on sexual exploitation, abuse, and harassment, this is an uncomfortable subject. It's a subject that is sensitive. In previous roles, I've had to deal with internal cases of sexual exploitation, abuse, and harassment, and those have all been really hard, actually. And that's in an organisation. The Foreign Office has some 17,000 people. So I can imagine in organisations where you know your colleagues very well and you know the community very well, it also makes that sort of that personal aspect very, very real, and I can sort of understand of it. And then there's also the cultural aspect of it as well. I think we can't talk away from. Like within the UK, I think talking about these issues is still very culturally sensitive, and it's getting better. I think the Oxfam scandal has shone a spotlight on an uncomfortable truth that many of us knew in the aid sector lived for many years. I think that scandal the positive that's come out of it has meant that we're easier to talk about these difficult issues. But I think it's also important to say that we've got a lot of way to go as yet. That, I think, really emphasises for me the importance of partnership. I don't think FCDO or DFID has all of the answers to this conundrum itself. I think we have made a lot of progress on the governance aspect of this. So the systems and the reporting tools and the training and the awareness, I call these the sort of inputs. So the systems part is what I would say is getting us to a comfortable level of organizational standards. Within FCDO, we've done a lot of work around that, around structural changes, around encouraging people to speak up, making sure our board discusses these issues at least once a year. We have a register of SEAH cases that we report onto the board. So those are all sort of what I would sort of say the building blocks of getting this right. The much more difficult things that you're going to talk about this afternoon is the things that are more intangible around culture, around leadership, around partnership. And those, I think, for me, I would say, are the next phase of this journey where we need to deepen our collaboration. At the moment, I sort of have this paradox, and I'll describe what I mean by that. That we know in Bangladesh, in some of our more vulnerable communities, some of those communities, or the Rohingya, or sexual exploitation and abuse, there's a very high risk environment. And yet at the moment, I have very low levels of reporting. And so there is this sort of, we know the environment is unfortunately very high risk, but the levels of cases that I have reporting through our partners is very low. And again, I'm sort of always candid with people. I think that at the moment that's not credible. You know, that the level of cases that we know that are out there and the reporting we see is just there's a mismatch. And that's not to say that we don't get cases come to our attention. I'm grateful for all our partners that bring cases to our attention. But there's still, I think, and again, I'll be honest with this, I think they're still reticent to report cases. And again, I can understand why that is. I sort of want to assure all of you on the line that when I talk about zero tolerance, it means zero tolerance for perpetrators, not zero tolerance for organizations that report them. Yeah? And it's an important distinction because, you know, to be honest, there is a power imbalance between our own relationship. We are a provider of funds to delivery partners who deliver those funds. And if I was an organization that was delivering projects and doing really good stuff, I would feel that power imbalance as well. I think we need to recognize that. So I suppose a commitment to you, partnership on this really means being honest both sides. So me being honest to you when I have worries, and you being honest to us when we're either not providing the support you need or that you have concerns about what you're seeing. And I would never hold an organization in disrepute. Someone who comes to me early with concerns would always be much better received than, you know, an allegation that's been going on for a long period of time. So my advice would be the partnership bit, I think, is built on trust. And again, I would always encourage all organizations, if you're worried about things, please do speak up on them. The leadership part is again, a thing I think about quite a lot. I am not Bangladeshi. I don't understand the culture as well as you do. I try and come back to leadership. For me is about sometimes speaking up on issues that are difficult to do. So in all of my conversations with heads of partner agencies, I'll always talk about this issue. And that's not to make people feel uncomfortable. It's a genuine issue that the UK government and me personally feels really passionately about. We have regular discussions in our staff meetings, and that is part of leadership. It's about talking about it and encouraging others to do. I would also say there's an aspect of leadership in everyone, in every organisation. So a culture that responds to sexual exploitation, abuse and harassment can't be built on the most senior person in the organisation. This has to be something that everyone takes leadership on, that raises awareness on. So leadership is not just about the leader of an organisation, it's people at every grade of the organisation. The cultural part of it, I would say, is again, it's quite a tricky thing to get right. And we want an organisation that people enjoy coming to work and enjoy working with their colleagues, and all of the great empowered work that we do as development professionals, all of that, that's the reason we joined the aid sector, is to help poorer people or refugees. And you don't want to live in an environment where people are feeling under the spotlight all of the time. I sort of think about it as thinking about the other way around. So do you have a culture in your organisation where employees feel comfortable about talking about SEAH? Do you have an organisational culture where you regularly report on issues? Do you have an organisational culture where leaders are receptive to challenging their own behaviours, as well as, so again, getting away from these power imbalances? So those are the sorts of things I think we need to try and get under the skin around culture. And the cultural sensitivities of this are not lost on me. I'm really happy that I see men and women on this call, yeah? Because too often I see this either seen as a women's agenda, or I see men feeling threatened by it, yeah? So I'm really happy that we've got a gender balance on this call. And again, my male colleagues, please do speak up on these important issues. And again, great that you can encourage more people to take this issue very seriously. Power imbalances lie at the heart of this. And, being honest and open as I am, at the moment, there is a male gender imbalance in many countries across the world, and that exacerbates this particular issue. So with that said, I'm really happy that we're doing these events. Please spread the word. Again, leadership is not about a single person, a single leader. This is about collective leadership across a whole series of organizations. And again, I would reiterate that commitment as partner organizations. If you're worried about things, please talk to us early. That would be my only request. Usually, my experience of these sensitive issues is delay or hoping they will go away usually adds to more problems. So please talk early to us, your project partners. I understand that there are sensitivities around doing that, that you have legal obligations in some of your organizations. But speaking up early is always part of the first difficult step to start to address these issues. With that, I think I will stop there, and I think I'm going to pass it back to you. But if you have any quick reflections back to me or questions on how FCDO is doing on this agenda, I'm happy to take those quickly before you get into the session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Matt. It's really quite encouraging, definitely, for all of us here, because you demonstrated a strong commitment around safeguarding, and the way you have explained the power and that dimension, even in the NGO sector while we are working, this is definitely going to encourage the local CSO and their leaders. So over to you, everyone, if there is any question to Matt in terms of the how we are working or about the commitment to around safeguarding. If there is any specific question, please feel free to raise your hand.
I can see Sheep has put her hand up, raised her hand.
Sheep, Papa, please come in.
Thank you. And you spoke very well. Obviously, the important point about leadership and how partnership is so important when we are working in an area of difficulties. SEAH is the one where everybody don't want to talk, don't want to believe it in, even though they know it's happening. I just like to add that it is important for the leadership of the organization to come forward with this. And though we know that everybody is a leader in her and his positions, still then the people who decides, make the strategies, should take more responsibilities. Otherwise, it is difficult for the people who are living under to raise it and make the movement. And as in Bangladeshi culture, talking about these are very taboo. So whoever raised their voice, whoever is the, kind of want to talk about it, it's always, they are always like stopped talking about it, sharing about it. And also, as we do not know much about what to talk about, and there are many, my experience, there are men who never thought that they need to know about sexual abuse, harassment, and exploitation. As they said, we did such a good thing all our life. We are working and helping women, and particularly those poor women. So why you are, calling us for this workshop or discussions? But it is also true, once they understand a little bit, they started saying that it was very important, because there are so many things they are doing, not intentionally maybe, which can really degrade a woman, dominate somebody without they even understood it. So this is the reason we need to talk about it. It's not always bad. It's so many good things also come when we can discuss about it. And we need to make a regular kind of periodical efforts in our meetings so that we can, share among ourselves about this, so that other people get encouraged to talk about it. And, they limit their fear. And the people, or the perpetrator or the potential perpetrator, once they hear all other people know about it, talking about it, understanding this, they also then try to control themselves more than they used to. Thank you.
You said that very well.
I see another hand. Maybe Matt, you can come after the question and reflection. Roshan bhai?
Yeah, thank you, Najapa. As Matt is already mentioned about the culture, about the leadership, about the ongoing issues where it raises. But in Bangladesh, we see the culture in our country is who lead the organization playing the leadership role. If their mindset is not changed, the safeguarding policy, enrolling or execution is very hard for any organization. So it is very important to change their mindset. Though the organization have the policy, if there is no any execution of the policy or practice, it will not work for them. So in the NGO community, we always say that the bottom-up approach, bottom-up decision making. But in the safeguarding policy or anything SEAH like, it is it requires up-down method, up-down approach. If there is if the organization head holding the positions, if there is no scope to raise their questions from the bottom of their subordinates, this will not work. So safeguarding or SEAH is, in my opinion, it is depends on the up-down top-down method. And also, you say it is good that the shared responsibility of the partnership, and also the partnership builds on the trust. So if there is any issue, it can be mutually mutually shared and work together to mitigate this type of issues at the bottom, because the organization sometimes they don't do anything like this, or zero tolerance, as you say, Mritha, that the organization sometimes did not know the consequences, but the staff who have done the issues, this will create a bad example for the organizations. So these things change when the top management is aware. They will work with work for the community, work for their staff also. This is all about from my side. Over, Shanazapa.
Thanks, Roshan bhai. Before handing over to you, Matt, I would also like to add here that in our country assessment also we have a findings that the concern, both of them, the Shiba and Roshan, they are raising around the leadership. In Bangladesh, we have found that the most of the cases, this is one person led organization, and that's the head of the organization. Most of the cases decide and set the culture, and that's where the leadership and creating safeguarding cultures remain still critical. That was the findings, and all this concern coming from there definitely. So over to you, Matt.
Thank you, Shannon. I'm going to have to not have my camera on. If you can picture the scene here, me and Marilyn are trying to frantically connect our IT again. So sorry about not being able to come on screen. I completely agree on the leadership. Leadership does start at the top of the organisation, and again, I think there is an element of cultural aspects of that, particularly here in Bangladesh, that it is, quite a hierarchical sometimes organisation, and I think it is leaders set the tone. I try and not use SEAH or safeguarding. Both of those terms for me, it's sexual exploitation, harassment, and abuse, and talking about those terms in a comfortable way, it really helps people understand what I'm talking about. So personally, I always try and talk about sexual exploitation, abuse, and harassment, being open about our expectations in the office. I also thought your colleague made a really important point around unintended behaviours. I think that is an important part of this agenda. But the world has thankfully moved on in the last 20 years. I look back at how women were depicted 20, 30 years ago in my own culture, and that has changed, and that's a positive thing. In films or in media, that women were portrayed in a very negative light in some cases, and I think the world has moved on from that. In some cases, maybe behaviours haven't moved on, and I think it's right that I would like to encourage people to be able to speak up in an environment where someone's behaviour makes them uncomfortable. I understand in micro organisations as well, some of our partners are very small organisations, with a handful of people, and that makes those relationships much closer, and it makes those conversations much more difficult. And that's why I think we have, both. I would encourage all organisations to have the structures and process in place. As I said, I think we're doing well on the governance point, but also our hotline and connection numbers from where you can report concerns if you have concerns within your organisation that you feel aren't being taken seriously. I think collectively we are in as I said, the Oxfam scandal and what we've done since then, I think that we are in a much better place. I couldn't imagine having conversations like this 4 years ago in an open environment. So I think we are getting there. I just have to sort of emphasise, for us, the partnership bit is important. The UK government couldn't deliver any of our aid projects without all of you partners on the line. And with any partnership, that partnership has to be open and transparent and trusting. And again, I reiterate my commitment. If you do have cases, please do come to us early, talk to us about them. A problem shared is usually a problem halved. The last thing I just wanted to say is, for us, why this is important, there's sort of two aspects I would emphasise. There is, of course, the reputational risk to UK government money that we're always worried about. But more importantly, it's survivors and victims that if we don't respond to their calls, then that's the bit that I really worry about more. In some cases, these are people that are most vulnerable, that we're trying to help, that may have been let down. So there's sort of the two sides. I think there's a reputational aspect, but also supporting victims of some of these issues needs to keep at the forefront of our mind. I'll probably stop there because otherwise I'm going to eat up too much of your time to your valuable discussion. Sorry about my IT. It's been a bit on and off today. So I'm going to pass you back to Marilyn, and please have an open and honest discussion. And again, particularly the cultural pieces are going to be very important in particular, and great to see male and female colleagues on the line as well. Good luck this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Matt. You definitely have set a tone where we will definitely dig down on this discussion on this issue, and You have actually set a tone for that. Thank you so much. So now let's move on to the question. We have 4 specific questions where we would request our today's discussion to share their reflections, learning. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first question to everyone I have that in what ways can organization proactively develop and integrate a culture of safety and well-being to mitigate the risk of sexual exploitation, abuse, and harassment? And what proven methods exist for promoting open and transparent dialogue about safeguarding concerns? I think few of these aspects have Matt already reflected in his speech. So please feel free to share openly that what ways you found at your organizational level worked quite well in setting the culture. So feel free to raise hand and reflect on this question.
Shahana Japam, can I join?
Yes, sure. Please, Salibhai, over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And apology again, not being able to visible because, I joined from my mobile. I mean, it's not working. Very important. Thanks for the initiative. It's excellent one, I would like to say, and also extremely, extremely important. So in terms of the question, I would like to just focus a couple of areas. First of all, as you know, that organization I represent is Bandhu Social Welfare Society. We are working on issues around improving sexual health and rights of sexual and gender diverse population. So here, I think it is also important to understand about SEAH. What I wanted to mean, define SEAH and its various forms to ensure a common understanding within the organization. And also highlight the specific vulnerabilities faced by the LGBTQI community, making SEAH prevention even, more effectively. Here, I would like to sort of touch upon that we all knows that we have a High Court verdict related to SEAH, but as you can understand and that is also not inclusive one. That was, that verdicts came on the perspective of women and girls, particularly women's, but we did not thought about, that was not inclusive. As I said that, LGBT1 or sexual and gender diversity issues were not thought, during that verdict. The second, in terms of, Matt has also spoke and other colleagues has also spoke. I think it is also very important proactive policies and procedure, and each and every organization have the policies. If not, particularly 4 key policies has to have in place, but SEAH, safeguarding code of conduct and gender policies. And to effectively implement those policies, that needs to be translated into Bangla in local language so that, each and every staff of the organization.
I can't hear you, Salibhai.
We lost him, looks like.
We lost him, yeah. He was... Salibhai,
proper training, capacity development across the organization. Can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So, there are other areas I would like to sort of touch upon, which is, cultivating the inclusive environment, which in here I would like to, touch upon fostering an inclusive and accepting culture that, value diversity and respect in the rights of individual regardless their sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression. This is also important. We equally have to understand about those issues. The other areas I think important in terms of promoting open communication. We need to sort of create a channel for open and transparent communication within the organization, ensure that everyone feels comfortable, sort of reporting and speaking about that, concerns. And finally, I mean, the whistleblower protection. This is also, another important area that established clear sort of whistleblower and protection policy to ensure individual to come forward without fear and retaliation. So I think, these are very important area for me. If something comes to my mind, I will again, join you. Thank you.
Thanks, Taleb. Definitely, as Matt was also mentioning, it's very critical to understand safeguarding. How does it look like for a most vulnerable community, as you were working with the Hijra community? And RSH is happy to work with the Bundhu to actually see that how safeguarding look like when we work with the most vulnerable group. Thanks for flagging those areas, very important. I can see hand from Shariar Bhai, Hasina Appa and Jennifer Appa. Let me start with Shariar Bhai, then I will come back to Hasina Appa and Jennifer Appa. Shariar Bhai, over to you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll be very quick. Actually, I'll probably start with Australia's stand on the safeguarding issue. So the Australian safeguarding policy covers 3 areas, and one of them we are talking about today, which is the SEAH policy. We also cover child protection underneath the overall safeguarding, as well as the environmental. Just wanted to share this. And the second part, I would like to talk about the cultural side and also the leadership a bit. I would echo with what Matt said earlier about the number of, zero tolerance. It's not about the zero incidents. So that's pretty important for us because we want to bring the cultural changes around that. We've experienced over the last 4 or 5 years with our partners, where we've seen that when you introduce the overall safeguarding or the SEAH policy or the procedures or the SOPs in the organization, what happens initially with that tends to report high number of incidents, and that kind of triggers within the organization as well as to the partners that maybe the organization are not doing something right, which is actually absolutely the opposite. We would like to see the incidents more because it proves that actually the safeguarding overall policy is actually working, and the mechanisms that is in place, people are actually reporting on those, and there is a safe environment within the organizations. So that's very important for us when we work closely with our partners. And about the, beside the zero tolerance, we also think that there's certain cultural in terms of managing the safeguarding, especially the SEAH within the organization, is very important. And we kind of wanted to highlight this within where DFAT or Australian government works within its own department. For example, we would like to mention that the victims or survivors should be treated with dignity and respect. And also they have a voice in terms of the decision making about it, which is often not the case. So they should be a part of that whole process as well. And also the victims should know about the detailed information or the comprehensive information, how all the process has been kind of taken into account. Beside that, the confidentiality, which is need to be make sure that it's properly protect the complaining information as well, and the overall it shouldn't discriminate gender in terms of age or ethnicity or any ways, so that it creates another incident case within the organization. In terms of, I'll just touch base on the leadership a bit. So for Australia, I think also work with different kind of partners. And as we know that sometimes the person who is the leader of the organization, that person also needs to be scrutinized to different, for example, through the board members or through the ombudsman or in through different processes. So maybe if we talk about and ensure that safeguarding is being discussed within the board meetings or the high-level steering committee meetings as a standing agenda, that would create the culture of the leadership embedded within the process as well. We often, especially for the small-scale organization where there are not many leadership team as such. So this is from the experience I'm taking. Maybe in the next question. So thank you.
Thanks, Sharian Bhai, for sharing Australian High Commission commitment and position around safeguarding. This is very helpful. Hasina Abba, over to you.
Thank you so much, Anas. And a lot has been said, and I'd like to appreciate the comments made by, particularly by Saleh Bhai, around the intersectional lens which we need to apply when we talk about safeguarding, or when we address safeguarding in the entire spectrum. So that is so important. And to go back a bit more like further behind, we're now in a position where we can actually talk about safeguarding, where the stigma around talking about sexual exploitation and abuse has somewhat been destigmatized. So, but now what do we do? So, like, what next? And I can tell you from my experience in working with different international organizations throughout the past 20 years, where it has made a difference is when the organization has taken a mission that we don't want this to be a problem in our organization. We have to work together to be able to address these issues. So whenever an organization has put in an agenda in their vision and the mission statement, that's when systematically we've seen progress in whatever areas so gender equality, safeguarding, different rights-based approaches. So it's so important for us to think with that lens is when we are organizational leaders, are we holding it on in our value statement, in our mission? And here, like, we all work in the aid sector, in the development sector, and we are in the business of working with people, helping people who are extremely vulnerable, and they need our support to survive, recover, and gain control of their lives. So so it's so important for us to continuously remind ourselves, so what are we in this for, and what is our ultimate goal? Keeping that in mind, I can share with you, as we are sharing our organizational experiences, IRC's position that we have taken is we look at SEAH safeguarding from 3 angles, where prevention, reporting, and response. So when we are talking about prevention, there has been, as Matt has mentioned about a few of the areas already on how proactively doing more work at the onset, so we can reduce the incidents, we can reduce the harm. I don't think we're in a position yet now that we can say do no harm, but how can we reduce harm? So that commitment at that stage on when we are looking at preventative actions, and again the leadership commitment, the role that leadership can play is just so like instrumental. And one thing that a few colleagues have said here from Bangladeshi organizations, that the leadership sticks with it's singular. So like, I think that's somewhere where we need to look into how we can change that and build a more collective leadership space within this community in Bangladesh. I mean, I don't represent a Bangladeshi organization here, and I haven't worked for a Bangladeshi NGO, but I do work with many of you through partnerships. I know that there are governance bodies in place. It is actually, though it may be a one-person show, actually there are those governance mechanisms in place in every single NGO and civil society organization in Bangladesh. So what can we do? What can you do as leaders to actually mobilize those governance bodies so that they can take like shared leadership and take ownership for issues that impact their organization and also impact the society around us and the community around us? So in the leadership space, there is more that we need to look at how we can collectively do to encourage having a more shared leadership. The having like a vision and having a clear vision, having the mission statement, which will help eradicate these kind of issues in the future. That is important, but the shared leadership aspect and these dialogues that we're having now, and that will definitely help many of us to go back and think about what more can we do in our organizations, and also like support in other organizations to So, so yeah, I'm happy to chip in later on, Shanaz, but I just wanted to keep it to this, that how can we move to the collective leadership space? Because that's the only way there will be more accountability, there will be shared ownership, and there will be that joint commitment to address this extremely sensitive, space that we are working in our handling on a day-to-day basis. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Appa, and thanks for bringing in the idea of collective leadership, where we actually make each other accountable, because as everybody we were saying, safeguarding is everybody's agenda, and as a leader we have definitely more responsibility to make everyone accountable, including the leadership and board, as you mentioned. And thanks for sharing IRC's approach internally and also with the partner. Definitely it would be helpful for the partners who are attending today. Jennifer, there was your hand. I don't see it now. Okay. So we have a couple of interesting questions. The next question around leadership. So I see more hand, but let's go very quickly. Sabur Bhai and then Moshumi Appa. Sabur Bhai, over to you.
Thank you, Appa. We think so for developing and integrating culture of safety and well-being of mitigate risks of SEAH, organizations should have the risk mapping practice, and that should have developed action plan with the base of risk mapping, and then should have a dedicated focal person of safeguarding, and that should have a team, and they should have oriented on their job description and should have a specific job description. As well, we think so, we should have regularly update the risk view, review, and it should be informed with the management or board. And management and board should be informed of their organization risk mapping issues. And then we think so, organizations should have regularly update their safeguarding policy and related policy issues. And firstly, it is very important, organizations might be or should be align the safeguarding issue with the strategic planning. I think by this way, we can develop a culture of safety and while being the mitigate risks, we can do that. We think so. Thank you, Appa.
Thanks, Sabur Bhai, for highlighting those areas, definitely. Moshumi Appa, over to you.
Thank you, Shanaz Appa. Yeah, but I think that everyone, we are aligned with our discussion.
Nabila Appa, kindly mute yourself. If you are not talking, please mute yourself. Nabila Appa, please mute yourself. Yes, Moshimi Appa, go ahead.
Yeah, I think there is an action from Action 8. There is a research in 2023, and they highlighted that there are 90% of women and girls between the ages of 10 to 11 have experienced sexual harassment or violence and unwanted physical contacts in streets, markets, public transport, and public places. So sexual harassment issues is a very common issues in everywhere. And so the people also working in the workplace who are also doing this kind of incidents in the streets and other areas. So I think, yeah, this is a very important area for all the organizations. And already we discussed about the thing that this safeguarding is not once only the leadership issues or the senior management issues. Safeguarding is everyone issues, and how the leadership can display and can visible their commitment towards safeguarding issues is very important to feel that the staff, how they follow the same thing. Otherwise, it's not only the policy issues which we can preserve or only to conduct different safeguarding session orientations in a repeated way or some kind of refreshers training. I think it should be visible from the leadership and the senior management, and it should be discussed in everyday issues. So I think how we are discussing these issues in a very simple example from our everyday practice, it is a very important part. And also how we are practicing our culture of practicing discussion And in our different forum, not only the discussion should be only for safeguarding or sexual harassment issues. Is our organization is enough accountable and transparent, where our staff members can discuss their issues in a very vibrant way, without any fear. I think this is an important part to raise our voice against any kind of sexual harassment, other issues. And I think, what we are doing in concern worldwide, that we have safeguarding policies, we have safeguarding focal points, and also we are just trying to visible and make sure that it is in Bangla or other local languages with different posters and other things. And we have helpline and other mechanism to respond very quickly. But before, I think all of this, I think what we are prioritizing this thing from our leadership is very important to ensure safeguarding issues into practice. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Moshumi Appa. Definitely, you brought in the agenda for the localization of safeguarding. It's very critical. It's very important as well, because the trust, the culture, and everything we said when this is the policy and procedures is we own by our heart, and also we understand properly. So that's where the contextualization is very important. And I really appreciate all of your reflection and suggestion and best practices. I think everybody is looking forward actually in terms of safeguarding. The agenda in Bangladesh is emerging. As Matt was saying, that we have been able to set policy, procedure, Saleh, everybody, you mentioned that we have now the policy, procedure, and everything set. So now we need to go together in the next steps, where we will discuss about these power hierarchies, leadership and cultures, those tangible and critical area that we need to look at. So the next question, I would say it's very interesting, because we are hearing today from the leaders who are leading INGO, donor agencies, embassy, and local CSO. So what leadership qualities and practices are crucial, you think, for preventing sexual exploitation, abuse, and sexual harassment within organization? And how can leaders inspire a culture of responsibility and accountability among their team in this regard? So over to everyone who would like to come first. Please feel free to unmute and share your thought and reflections.
As nobody is coming up, shall I come up again?
You are the first every time. Yes, Salih, go ahead.
I did not want it to be the first this time.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
শাহনাজ আপা, আমাকে একটু পরে সুযোগ দেন, আমার হ্যান্ড রেজ অপশনটা কাজ করছে না।
Okay, sure আপা, আমি আপনার কাছে আসবো। Yes.
Thank you.
শাহনাজ, আমার হাতও রেজ ছিল, এখন নামাচ্ছি।
Oh, sorry আপা. Sorry, I'm coming back
Maybe
to you.
Maybe there's something, you cannot see.
No,
I thought.
Papa, you can go ahead, please.
No. I want to hear you.
Thank you, Shipapa and Shahnazapa. I think you were talking about the leadership qualities and practice. Again, I would like to sort of address a couple of areas, and the first one I would like to sort of emphasize upon understanding the leadership role. This is very, very important, which I wanted to define the role of leadership in preventing SEAH within the organization, and also emphasize that leaders set the tone for organization culture. This is very, very important. The second area, again, emphasizing inclusivity. This is also important for all of us to understand, and also the leader also should understand actively, champion inclusivity within the workplace. I mean, the culture, it is important to introduce within the sort of own workplace is very, very important, and also promote diversity and make it clear to all individuals, regardless their sexual orientation and gender identity. The third area, I would like to focus on issues around knowledge and sensitivity. I think it is very important. Leader must educate themselves on the specific challenge faced by that, the LGBTI plus community, and also foster sort of sensitivity and empathy towards the unique sort of vulnerabilities within the sort of communities. Leaders, also can think about modeling respectful sort of behavior, which I wanted to mean the leaders should model, respectful behavior towards all the team members, his or her team members, and demonstrate inclusive language, and action to create a positive workplace culture. This is important. The other areas, for example, accountability measures. Leader can take initiative for that. Support system, which is also important. Most importantly, regular check-in and evaluation. We were talking about risk assessment and all those. I think not only doing that, this is also important. Leaders should conduct regular check-ins. And the well-being of their team members, implement ongoing evaluation of the organization's, SEAH related issues and so on. So, yeah, that's all from my side. Thank you, Appa.
Thanks, Salibhai. Everything is very important point as a leader to actually look at and be very mindful about when you are leading any agency. Definitely. Let me hand over now to Shipapa. Then I will go to Yasmin.
Thank you. I'd like to say one thing about the last questions. Like what are the areas that we need to kind of build on? I think one is investigation, the capacity of investigation. This is very different from any accounting or hard, scale investigation, and often we forget to do that. And particularly as with my experience in many ministries and universities, they have no clue of or intention organizationally to build this capacity, which is really makes things difficult. Obviously, there are organizations so you can take support from. That's another way of getting the help. About leadership, it's like I know leaders are interested because of their interest in some organization. People started talking about these and asking for justice. But these leaders they have to publicly announce their interest, publicly announce the, if someone does good things about it, leaders' responsibility is to talk in public that this person is doing such a good job or this department is doing such a good job. Often our leaders do these things, but in their own room, which is not really help organizational culture to build. Another is keep an eye, critical eye for following up. What's happened? Maybe the judgment was very good, everybody's happy, really it was justice done. Then what is happening to the person who is the survivor? With my experience in larger organizations, and also there are studies from universities too, mostly the survivors cannot stay in the same organization not more than a year. It's not any formal pressure, but the peer pressure, which is not formal, very informal, continuously bugging them. So leaders' responsibility is to look into that and develop this culture of acceptance. And then the psychosocial counseling we normally provide to the victims, the survivors, but it is equally important for the people who are dealing with the whole issues, complaint management, investigating, making decisions, or implementing the decisions at field. So they also are vulnerable to this. So leaders has to keep an eye for that. I think these are I don't want to go more, but it's continuously leaders' eye it's to be there. It's like in their speaking, talking, discussions, everyday meetings. This has to be a very usual, normal discussion that we talk about. Sexual harassment may occur. It is not, and we have to keep our eyes open and trust people and help people when they are in need. Thank you.
Thank you, Appa. Yeah, I completely agree with you. And those are very important. Building our conscious and unconscious biases. Be very mindful about those biases and also keeping eye on so that the survivor is protected and feel comfortable. Definitely. Saida Yasmin Appa, can you please come in?
হ্যালো হ্যাঁ
Yes, Appa, go ahead.
থ্যাংক ইউ আপা সুযোগ দেওয়ার জন্য। আসলে অনেকক্ষণ ধরে হ্যান্ড রেজ করার চেষ্টা করছিলাম, পাচ্ছিলাম না। আপনি শুনতে পাচ্ছেন? জি হ্যাঁ, আমি যে কথাটা বলতে চাচ্ছি যে আসলে আজকে যে ওয়েবিনার মধ্য দিয়ে আমরা যে ডায়ালগটি করছি, এখানে এই ডায়ালগের পারপাস, লিডারশিপ এবং আপা পার্টনারশিপ এবং দুটা কোশ্চেনের মধ্য দিয়ে যে বিষয়টাকে আপনি তুলে ধরতে চাচ্ছেন, আমার তৃণমূল পর্যায়ে নারী সংগঠন হিসাবে, আমি বাংলায় বলছি যেহেতু ইন্টারপ্রিটেশনের সুযোগ আছে, যার জন্য আমি যে কথাটা বলতে চাই যে আসলে তৃণমূল পর্যায়ে যারা ওমেন লেড সিএসও আছেন, যারা কাজ করছি, আমরা সেফগার্ড ইস্যুটাকে হয়তো আমাদের এখনকার বিষয় নিয়ে আমরা বিগত দিনে যেভাবে চিন্তা করিনি, এখন কিন্তু আমরা একটু চিন্তাটাকে অন্যভাবে করছি। এই কারণে করছি যে আমাদের লার্নিংটা ভিন্নভাবে হয়েছে, যে কেন সেফগার্ডটা এখন অর্গানাইজেশনের প্রয়োজন এবং সেয়াটা কেন প্রয়োজন। তো সেই ক্ষেত্রে আমার কাছে মনে হচ্ছে যে এই কথাগুলি যখন তৃণমূল পর্যায় থেকে যায়, আবার অনেক সময় দেখা যায় যে উপর থেকে আসছে। আমরা পার্টনারশিপের কথা বলছি, পার্টনারশিপের ভিতরে আমাদের যদি সেই জায়গাটায় যদি অ্যাকাউন্টেবল পার্টনারশিপ না থাকে, তাহলে ওই জায়গাটাও কিন্তু আপনার সেফগার্ডের জায়গাটা এবং শেয়ার জায়গাটা কোনো না কোনো ভাবে ইয়া হতে পারে। তো সেই জায়গাটার ক্ষেত্রে আমি মনে করি যারা এখানে অনেক আইনজীবী প্রতিনিধি আছেন এবং আমাদের সিনিয়র শেফাফিজ আপা আছেন, আমি সকলের প্রতি সম্মান রেখে যে কথাটা বলতে চাচ্ছি যে আসলে যদি পার্টনারশিপটা আসলে ইকুয়াল পার্টনারশিপ হয়, ট্রান্সপারেন্সি সেখানে থাকে, তাহলে এটা বোথ ওয়ে কমিউনিকেশন। কারণ আমরা বলছি যে কোলাবোরেশন উইথ আদার স্টেক হোল্ডার, তো বা আদার অর্গানাইজেশন। তো অনেক সময় দেখা যায় যে এটা অন্যভাবে নেওয়া যাবে না, যে আসলে অর্গানাইজেশন লেভেলে যে পর্যায়ে থাকে, যখন মাঠ লেভেলে কাজের জন্য হয়তো পার্টনারশিপের জায়গা থেকে আসা হচ্ছে, তখন হয়তো এক ধরনের ডিসক্রিমিনেশন বা ডমিনেশন বা ইয়া হচ্ছে, যেটা আসলে আমার সেফগার্ডকে সেখানে ভায়োলেট হচ্ছে কিনা বা আমার শেয়ার জায়গাটা ভায়োলেট হচ্ছে কিনা, সেই জায়গাটায় দেখা। আর আরেকটা বিষয় আমরা যেটা বলছি যে আমরা লোকাল লেভেলে আমরা সংগঠনে যেহেতু মেন্টরশিপ প্রোগ্রামের সাথে আমিও জড়িত আছি, তো আমি একটা কথা বলি যে আমরা আমাদের কর্মী যারা একদম মাঠ পর্যায়ে, কারণ আপা বলেছেন যে আসলে কমপ্লেইন গুলো আসার যে মেকানিজমটা, আসলে আসার পরে এটাকে একদম সঠিকভাবে একটা জাজমেন্টে নিয়ে যাওয়া, তাকে সেইভাবে মানে তার কমপ্লেইন মেকানিজম সিস্টেমটাকে এস্টাবলিশ করার জন্য আমরা কিন্তু স্কিল স্টাফ এবং সংগঠনে সেই পলিসিগুলো ডেভেলপ করছি। কিন্তু তারপরেও আমার কাছে মনে হয়েছে যে কোলাবোরেশনটা হতে হবে অ্যাকাউন্টেবল এবং পার্টনারশিপটা হতে হবে একদম অ্যাকাউন্টেবল পার্টনারশিপ, এবং যেখানে কোনো দ্বিধাদ্বন্দ্ব, কোনো সংশয় কাজ করবে না। তাহলে আমার মনে হয় যে আমাদের সেফগার্ড এবং শেয়ার ক্ষেত্রে আমরা যারা কাজ করছি, আমাদের জায়গাটা আরো মজবুত, সুদৃঢ় হবে, যেটা আমাদের আগামীতে কাজ বাস্তবায়নে আরো অর্থপূর্ণতা আনবে। ধন্যবাদ আপা।
Thank you, Saida Appa. You have really brought in very important aspect, and I really want to repeat what she was mentioning. So she was mentioning that from grassroots women organization who started working earlier now have started thinking on the issue of safeguarding because of the importance from the donor and also the understanding they have developed going forward. And now they are thinking about it. They are developing their policy procedure. And also what she emphasized, that it's very important to building a collaboration and accountability within the partnership. So there are the INGOs and donor are there. So it's very important the power and the dynamics that Matt was also talking about, it's very important. We know this exists. We cannot say this, it doesn't exist. Definitely it exists. And that power, how she was mentioning, how we can make that accountability mechanism to work. and better coordination with the partners so that the SEAH reporting comes in. And that was the major actually, and that would be grateful for the local CSOs actually to build such a reporting mechanism that actually work for them. So I really appreciate Yasmina for bringing this in. Definitely everybody is very mindful about it. Now I will go to Hasina.
Thank you so much. Speaking like after a few people, there are advantages. A lot of what you want to say is already said. So thank you so much. I would like to emphasize on a couple of things that we need to consider as we're speaking in the leadership space. And one thing is, how much are we ready to invest? So, because when we are talking about developing a system and a structure and a process and a mechanism, we need to, yes, as leaders, we also need to commit to invest our willpower, commit to invest physical resources, which will enable some of the structural changes to happen. So, and I want you, all of us to reflect, including ourselves, on where are we in that fund. I can tell you from my experience in working on managing grants, donor grants, it isn't always an easy space when we are negotiating and funding and trying to implement projects on the ground. Ironing out that space to be able to support on governance and system strengthening, it isn't always that straightforward and simple. And I know that there are donors like DFAT and FCDO who are much more like progressive and supportive in this space and ensuring that there are organizations are given the opportunity to strengthen capacities. That flexible resourcing is opportunity is there, and allocation is also most of the times is there. But the role that we also need to play is on the advocacy to be able to bring in more resources. I mean, the Safeguarding Hub is an excellent example of how collectively one organization and a network can actually support in capacity building of so many organizations. And there are so there needs to be a resource in investment at micro level as well as meso and macro level. So, and that's something that we have to advocate for as leaders when we negotiate contracts and funding from our donors, upwards to downwards. So that needs to happen so that we can actually our goodwill and our commitment, so that can be actualized on the ground. So that I think is an important piece that we should all look at. We should all take back with us. And I'm not saying that it's not happening in this space, but it needs to happen more and more. That intentfulness in investing the resource to be able to build that governance structure that allows us to strengthen our mechanisms overall to address to work at the entire spectrum of safeguarding. I'm not just going to say for investigations, but it's on prevention and also at the same time at maintaining and then onwards. Something else that we should be considering as organizations that are different. I mean, we are all here representing different organizations, some national, some regional, some international, but then setting those standards within the organization. So there's minimum standards which will actually help us have a framework which we can work on so that we can holistically address safeguarding. So as example, looking at when we are recruiting staff, when we are looking at supporting our staff in the resourcing plan, capacity building, training and awareness raising, then it's the feedback mechanism that we have CRMs, complaint response mechanisms in all of our organizations, but how effective is that? So the effectiveness of the CRM process, looking into that, having more responsive services. Well, as we do receive complaints and we manage issues and cases, we also have to be ready to be able to timely respond and support the survivors or the victims or whatever. I mean, different organizations, we take them differently, but that responsiveness mechanism, that needs to be there. programming, but we have to understand that when we talk about SEAH and safeguarding, we have safeguarding within our organization for our staff, but also we consider safer programming, the interactions that we have with our clients or our beneficiaries or our project participants. We have to think about, it's not one size fits all. So and then we're all working through partnerships now. Localization is the agenda of all of the organizations now, and we really truly want to work through partners, with partners. So we have to commit to actually the safer partnership models of working with our partners, the investigative capacity, the culture of safeguarding. So it's a spectrum of setting up as minimum standards within our organizations. As leaders, if we can commit to that, that's a baseline that we can work from, and then obviously we move towards achieving our different milestones and goals over Shahnaz.
Thank you, Apara. You have really touched upon all these steps in the project cycle management, how the safeguarding and the leader's role. Thank you very much. I see a lot of hand. I will come to you. But I saw a comment from Tom. Tom, would you like to come in?
Sure, thank you very much. I'm having some issues with my video, so I'll actually the connection, so I'll keep that off. But yeah, thank you for the really interesting discussion so far. I've agreed with everything that's been said. So a wealth of experience clearly in the virtual room. Yeah, I mean, I think so. In our experience, what we've seen is that it's been really important in terms of getting that buy-in from staff to actually make sure that we are, as leaders, and I think we have been building the concept of leadership through the team, certainly through our country leadership team and beyond, but just making sure that we are finding time, that's often a challenge, to bring colleagues together and actually have often difficult conversations around the safeguarding concerns, whatever they may be, actually, in whatever safeguarding space we're talking about. And that has really helped to unpack some of the cultural issues, I would say that, and when I say cultural issues, I think Matt and others have touched on this, the cultural issues that exist within an organization, the cultural issues that exist between the organization itself and the rest of the world, and of course, the different cultural issues that there may be in our case between sort of UK standards versus Bangladeshi standards and expectations. So having kind of that safe space, it doesn't happen overnight, actually. It involves multiple discussions with colleagues, with our teams, at least for us, has been very beneficial. And one practical example has been, and we haven't really closed the conversation off, but it's on sort of linked to the Article 32 of the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. So specifically the child protection, actually, and on rather than sexual exploitation and harassment. But what we did is we actually tackled that front on, I would say, with the team around what people's understanding were of, what colleagues' understandings were of that particular article. And it really unpacked sort of, despite the fact that at the British Council we work in education, we of course have inclusion across everything that we do, and we have global safeguarding policies. It started to bring out some of the kind of different opinions that there were within the team around child labor, for example, and whether that was actually being practiced, whether we were practicing what we were preaching in our organization versus outside of our organization, even including what colleagues were doing in their own homes. So that discussion has been, I think, a bit of a catalyst, I would say, particularly on that issue, for us to sort of better understand what challenges the cultural issues are actually within our own team. And it has also helped, I think, all of us understand, then the sort of challenges we have to work with when we're engaging with partners, be they vendors. We've had similar challenges with our security team, our cleaning vendors and things like that, which we also had to work through. So it's, I guess, also equip the team with a bit more nuance to the type of challenges that we're facing, what we need to do to actually address them. I mean, the second point I put in the chat was around investing in training, because I think one other thing that became apparent through those discussions, and I've just mentioned one example around child labor and exploitation of economic exploitation of children, but across the piece, these types of open space conversations have highlighted to us that there really was a big need to better train staff. And that also requires us as leaders to prioritize that kind of investment. As a result of some of these discussions, we also decided that we needed to invest in more expertise in our teams. And that meant not just expecting colleagues to run safeguarding as a bolt-on to their job, but also to bring in a safeguarding expert, which up until a few years ago, we didn't have in the organization. So actually employing somebody who really lives and breathes all of this, who has that technical expertise and can work with the wider team to actually train them up. So yeah, I'll stop there. It's sort of practical things that I was reflecting on.
Thank you very much, Tom. You really brought in the agenda. I really appreciate the issue you brought in about child abuse and child sexual exploitation area. Definitely, this is when we talk about safeguarding, and then there are different vulnerable groups, and in terms of the when we put in different blends, then we can see actually how safeguarding might be critical for ensuring to the different group. Definitely, we definitely agree with your points. And I really like the point you mentioned earlier, that earlier we couldn't even think of safeguarding dedicated position, but now we can understand the need, and we can see the investment, both INGO, local NGO and different level. We are bringing in that expertise, and RSH, one of the major agenda for RSH as well, to build the resources at the sector, for the sector at the national level, so that the safeguarding expert we have at the national and the local level who we can support each other from creating different platform. So thank you so much, Tom. I will now hand over to Arif Bhai, Kallul Arif from Jesus.
Yeah, thank you, Apa. That part, thank you for giving me an opportunity. So one thing I want to share with you, that for perspective of leadership, the number one qualities that I think for any organization, that's the leadership commitment. So if the organizational commitment and the leadership commitment is 100%, that they can do something for managing the SEAHs, then it will be easy. And in the next, actually, the disseminating leadership position in every aspect, because we know the policy and the framework is there, but somehow we have a gap in the practice. Somehow we have a gap in the understanding. Somehow we have a gap in how the reporting channel and how the staff or the other people can make more aware in an open communication regarding the SEAHs, particularly in a reporting channel. So this can be actually in a leadership role. If the leadership has given an example, an open communication, encourage all the groups to be in an open channel, then it will be easy. And the other thing, I think, that's the accountability. So every organization, I know that's the accountability is there, but the practice needs to be the placed. So I think from my perspective, in any leadership, they need to be more accountable perspective of SEAHs. So other thing is that sometimes leaders need to be very open with every way of the communication with the employees, with the beneficiaries, that this particularly sexual exploitation, abuse and harassment can be easily conversed, easily discussed. And that type sometimes, because you know that these words, this sometimes makes some people very shaky, and they cannot actually even more aware, even they cannot share their things within this channel. So that is also the leadership role. So I think the leadership role needs to be the place there also. And other is the inclusivity and the diversity, because in every particularly in the local organization, that is a fragile environment. But they don't have much more financial capacity. So in that case, the partnership has a, I see that some of the partners or some of the donors, they are not free to support, prospectively supporting this SEAH's activation. So their commitment also need to be in a place so that the less capacity organization can be get more benefited. Even the capacity on the different issue, the training, or also in the cascade down of the any sorts of the issue that needs to be the rolled out in a proper channel, because that needs some sorts of budget. So all the organization has not sufficient budget. Some of the organization have, but for a local organization or for some sorts of organization who have a less capacity, they need some injecting finance so that they can establish this safeguarding issue. So that's also a leadership role, I think. So thank you.
Thank you, Arif Bhai. Thank you very much. You really highlighted a very important point. And as Hazina Appa was also mentioning about the safer partnership, I really agree on those points you mentioned. Very quickly now, I will go to Rumana Appa and Jennifer Appa. Kindly excuse me, Roshan Bhai, because, and I have another, I don't see the name, because we have two more questions, so I would really like to hear your perspective on that. So Rumana Appa and then Jennifer Appa. Rumana Appa. Over to you, Rumana Appa. Rumana Kadir, Rumana Appa.
জি আপা, এখানে বাংলায় বলার সুযোগ আছে, আমি এর জন্য এটা বাংলাতেই বলছি আপা, এবং বাংলায় বলতে আসলে আমি এটা স্বাচ্ছন্দ্য বোধ করছি। তো এখানে আপা আজকে যে বিষয়টা নিয়ে আলোচনা হলো, তো আমি আসলে আমার এই সম্পর্কে কিছু অভিমত আমার নিজের মধ্যে অনেকদিন থেকে আছে, আমি সেটাই একটু সবার সামনে তুলে ধরতে চাই বা শেয়ার করতে চাই। সেটা হচ্ছে যে সেফগার্ডিং ইস্যুটা সবসময়ই ছিল, কিন্তু এই জিনিসটা কিন্তু আগে অর্গানাইজেশনের যে প্র্যাকটিস সেটা কিন্তু ছিল না। কিন্তু এখন আমরা দেখতে পাই যে এটা প্র্যাকটিস অনেকাংশে শুরু হয়েছে, কিন্তু সেক্ষেত্রে যেটা হয় যে আমরা অনেক সময় অর্গানাইজেশনে আমরা ভাবি যে যদি সেফগার্ডিং ইস্যুটা আমি হাইলাইট করি বা আমার অর্গানাইজেশনে এই ধরনের কোনো কেস আমার কাছে আসলো, এটা বোধহয় অর্গানাইজেশনেরও একটা দুর্নাম। আমরা এটা অনেক সময় অনেক অর্গানাইজেশন গুলো আসলে ভেবে থাকি। এই জিনিসটা থেকে আসলে আমাদেরকে বের হয়ে আসতে হবে, এবং আমাদেরকে এটার ক্ষেত্রে এটাকে পরিচালনা করার জন্য আমাদের কিছু ক্যাপাসিটি, এই জিনিসগুলো আসলে প্রয়োজন। আমরা কিন্তু অনেক সময় প্রজেক্ট প্রপোজালও লিখি, কিন্তু যেগুলোতে দেখা যায় যে আমরা বলি যে কোনো একটা প্রজেক্টের যে অ্যাক্টিভিটি গুলো আছে তার সাথে মার্জ করে দিয়ে আমরা এই বিষয়গুলো আলোচনা করতে পারি, কিন্তু আমার কাছে সেটা মনে হয় যে সেখানে বোধহয় এই জিনিসটার আসলে গুরুত্বটা কমে যায় সেফগার্ডিং ইস্যুটার। এর জন্য এটাকে আসলে সেপারেটলি বলা দরকার। আমরাও কিন্তু অনেক সময় বলে থাকি যে প্রজেক্টের কোনো অ্যাক্টিভিটি, তার সাথে আমরা এটা 10 মিনিট আলোচনা করব। এটা থেকেও আমাদের আসলে সবার বের হয়ে আসা দরকার, এটার গুরুত্বটা আমাদের বুঝে। এবং আরেকটা যেটা বিষয় যে আমরা অনেক সময় দেখা যায় যে কেস আসে কমিউনিটি থেকে, আমাদের রিপোর্ট করে, কিন্তু এই রিপোর্টটার আমরা কিভাবে এটা মেকানিজমটা কি হবে, এটার কোন পর্যায়ের জন্য শাস্তির পরিমাণটা কি ধরনের হবে, সেই জিনিসটাও আমরা অর্গানাইজেশন গুলো, ছোট ছোট অর্গানাইজেশন গুলো আসলে এইভাবে বুঝতে পারি না। এই বিষয়েও কিন্তু অর্গানাইজেশন গুলোর আসলে ক্যাপাসিটি ডেভেলপমেন্টের একটা প্রয়োজন আছে। এবং পলিসি যেগুলো আছে আমাদের বা অন্যদেরও আমরা দেখেছি যে বেশিরভাগ পলিসি গুলো সব বাংলায়। আমি যদি এই জিনিসগুলো আসলে আমরা মূলত ইউজ করি আমাদের কমিউনিটি লেভেলের একদম যারা বেনিফিশিয়ারি রয়েছে, শিশুরা রয়েছে, ভালনারেবল যারা রয়েছে তাদের জন্য, কিন্তু এই পলিসি গুলো সবগুলোই বাংলায়। আমি যদি তাদের হাতে লিডারশিপ তাদের হাতে দিয়ে যদি তুলে দিই, তাহলে এই বিষয়গুলো একটু খেয়াল রাখা দরকার যে অর্গানাইজেশন গুলোতে আসলে পলিসি গুলো সব বাংলায় হওয়া দরকার। এই ধরনের কিছু আসলে, আর আমরা জানি যে আমাদের যে অর্গানাইজেশনের ক্যাপাসিটি রয়েছে সেটাকে আরো বেশি ডেভেলপ করা প্রয়োজন এই ইস্যুটাকে নিয়ে বোঝার জন্য, ইস্যুটাকে নিয়ে আরো বেশি কাজ করার জন্য। আপা ধন্যবাদ।
Thank you, Appa. Thank you so much. So Rumana was highlighting the area that where local CSOs still have the fear on reporting SEAH issues. where there are misconceptions that if you report, then maybe there are would be challenges in terms of funding and relationship with the donor. And that's where she feels that it's very important to have this clarity and coordination and trust with the donor. Thank you, Appa, for sharing. Jennifer, Appa, over to you.
And she raised very practical points also.
Yes,
thank you.
Sure. Over to you, Jennifer.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I think everybody has added to the points. It's very much a top-down approach where leadership have to own it, and not own it because of a donor requirement, but it also makes good sense to own it. Only when that happens can you actually cascade it down. The policies come up, but how do you embed the policy? And how do you conduct the risks? All of this requires resources, whether it's coming on reporting and then obviously the grievance mechanism. So as we look into SEAH case, a number of things have to be looked into. One is the cultural, socio-economic background, the target people that we are. So awareness obviously is there. What type of awareness requires resources? Maybe some of the participants were using, it's not only Bangla, it may be pictures. We're going to have to demonstrate through pictures, through innovative measures, through videos, through various other means on what this actually means. But then the culture of and the aspects of, say, some of the intricate problems are around the genders, the intersectionality issue, understanding the intersectionality issue, that some people can be more oppressed than others. And then looking at the SEAH perspective of, say, socioeconomic background, when we work with the groups in the Rohingya response, their cultural sensitivities are very important. Child safeguarding is extremely important, and SEAH that can happen through the child safeguarding. So understanding culture, understanding socioeconomic lenses, understanding gender and intersectionality, but at the same time, it is a holistic approach whereby there is a top-down approach. If you say why people don't report, why there is under-reporting, trust, which was raised very initially at the inception, was the trust factor. And that needs to be demonstrated by all donors. Because actually, when you report, when a case is addressed, it actually means it's no longer under the carpet. And it actually goes towards ensuring conducive environment. Sometimes that skepticism is still there. I can understand. So the more, I think communication both ways is important, but continuous from donor community to build the trust among the various CSOs that reporting and addressing actually solves the problem. It solves the problem means the trust in the system comes in. And then obviously when a plateau is reached, then people know consequences, it comes down. But for that to happen, the trust among everyone has to be there and has to be very top-down driven. Like we report to the board every quarter. It's mandatory. We have to report to the board every quarter on what we've done, and basically guidance comes from there. So these things, if they're inbuilt, and obviously some people are not so advanced as others, but understanding and building that capacity becomes quite important. And there is a good business sense to doing this, in the sense that it actually supports organizations by addressing these things. They actually can be quite productive. And at the same time, people we are serving in the community, I mean, what was said previously, those people who we are serving, we can't harm them. So that should be in the basics of the DNA of an NGO. But things happen. Things happen. Why they happen? Because the society we're in, the cultures we're in, things have happened and things may continue to happen. The more awareness will change that trajectory, but it depends on, if I'm doing one part of a holistic approach, I may be missing out on gaps. So actually looking at it very holistically and trying to address each and every point, say from a risk assessment to a recruitment to a partnering, if I actually embed processes and protocols to embed the policies, those go a long way to in the prevention. And then you have the response mechanism. But just concurring, the top-down, there is no alternative than a top-down approach. Having just a safeguarding person and not owning their work or just saying this is safeguarding doesn't help. So it actually has to be owned, and it has to be responsibility of directors also and people going down the line. So just wanted to make some comments. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Definitely you have a speaker quite holistically, considering all the aspects that's need to, as a leader, that need to look at. Definitely with this, I think in our discussion, we have actually talked about the governance. So governance, this question I will skip at this point. We have a couple of minutes, and where I would like us to discuss about how can an effective partnership between INGO, donor and CSO enhance safeguarding strategies against SEAH in terms of joint capacity strengthening, financial and non-financial support. This has been also came in a discussion you have highlighted, but if there is any other aspects if you want to highlight here, as we were hearing from the local CSO, the more commitment and the more focus on the building relationship, trust among the partnership. And also we have here from Hasina and other INGO leaders saying that they are committed to bring more resources and building a safer partnership. So beyond that, what else actually we can do as a sector to build this? Because we have to work together, as we were saying, in terms of the partnership, the localization agenda and all that. So how we can work it better. I can't see a hand at this point, but yeah, feel free to come in. Yes.
Shahnaz, I would just very quickly, because you have said more or less the recommendations have come through. One thing I would really like to request for is this kind of a forum, because we are able to actually discuss so freely and openly in this forum and talk about the problems and collectively also identify like potential solutions, and one size won't fit all. Different organizations will have to take different steps and measures, but then it is very useful to have this open forum where leaders can actually get together to have these discussions. So on top of the other recommendations I've made, this is another one I would like to put forward for consideration. So thank you.
Sure, Appa. Thank you. Shiba, over to you.
Like, I mean, I think it's following Hasina. Is
over to you.
Yeah. I'm kind of supporting Hasina, and I was thinking of building a alliance network of, people who are working with it, like to understand it. And networks also gives the space to other people to know how to take decisions, what decisions with who is taking. Sometimes we do things, but we don't know really whether it is the right thing we're doing. Though we know it is right, but we need this support from others, and this will be very helpful if we can have a national kind of a network, starting small and then see how it goes. This is what my suggestion is for building, this partnership. Thank you.
Thank you, Shipapa. Definitely, it's really important at this point to learn from each other. Definitely. I don't see any other hand, but please feel free to come in if anyone like to add anything here at this point around governance or partnership. Wajdan, would you like to come in or share maybe a few highlights from RSH overall?
Can I come again for another few seconds? So one is to share, building partnership with others, learning from each other. But at the same time, I think we need to show our solidarity so that people has to, accept this notion, this different culture. Still, what we are seeing in different organizations, either there is no good, judgment, investigation and judgment. Even if there is, it's not they are not implementing. So when there will be a network, a alliance built, those organizations will be feel more compelled to take this initiative and be in the right path.
Thank you, Appa. Over to you, Roshan bhai. I see your hand.
Thank you, Appa. In short, I want to mention about the governance. About governance, we see some of the staffs who are dealing with the safeguarding or SEAH is the project staff. So there should be a position in the core team member so that they are not in a time-bounded project staff. And if the organization is mandated in their organogram that there should be a position in their organogram that he or she will be the focal of the SEAH or safeguarding, it will be very very executable and very visible to other organizations so that they can learn from each other. And another thing is regular practice by the leader who is taking the lead of the safeguarding policies and other things. There should be should have his or her voice to execute his role or responsibilities in the organization, so that if the staff, the cascading staff of the field staff, they can issue any issues related to the SEAH without any fear. And another thing is the monitoring of the issues it raised and what happened to, and the end of the issues, what happened to this. And that's why it is called making the examples that create a learning for the others that this is happening. So we have to learn and we also follow the safeguarding rules according to the organization policy. Over to Shahnaz Appa.
Thank you, Roshan bhai. Very important point. Definitely, it's very important to learn from each other and also the points you have highlighted. I see the hand from Moshumi Appa. Before going to Moshumi Appa, Vejdan, would you be?
No, it's okay. It's okay, Shahnaz.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll be the last one.
Okay, sure. Moshumi Appa, over to you.
Thank you, Shahnaz Appa. We are discussing about the localization and partnership and all other things. And already we discussed about the equal, what is partnership means to us. Is it equal? Are the partners have the can own the responsibility and share all the risks? Like the INGO, they can share the risk also from the local organization. I think this is an important part, and also how we are transferring all the messages to our program participants. Are they know what is safeguarding and what are the areas where we are working for their protection of sexual and other issues, and they have that kind of channel to share this information to us, and we are much capable and efficient to respond their issues promptly. I think these are the areas where we need some kind of we need some work, like the mechanism where we have some kind of phone or the letter and other things, but they have some kind of difficulties to how they explain their issues to the organization. I think they have to think about their support and all these things, where they have to sometimes resist to share their experiences. And this has also happened in our organization also. If not, this is not for organizing our organization. This is from the staff members can also feel that this is there for their job security and other things. They have to just hide and all this without raising voice. They have to keep all this in silence. So I think this kind of organization culture we have to practice, where organizational staff members or everyone have that scope to raise their voice without fear, and they have the trust to the organization, and they are just and they have to know the organization is very much committed, and there are not only some few people working on the safeguarding issues. Everybody is working on safeguarding issues to protect others and everyone. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Appa. Yeah, very important here. Many of us, including you, mentioned about how we're managing the risk and the awareness of the safeguarding, how we disseminating messages, definitely very, very important aspects. So before we go for the evaluation, Vajdan, I would invite you overall reflecting, especially governance.
Thank you, Shanaz, for inviting me to attend. Actually, I just want to highlight two things. The first thing, that through the 2 hours that we spent together, we spoke about internal and external aspects, the 3 internal aspects that most often, even donors sometimes, are confused when it comes to the distinction between governance, leadership, and culture are internal. After we fix internally, we expand to how can we partner as a civil society organizations with INGOs and donors to enhance and to increase the commitment to the safeguarding. So there is a common saying which is culture eats a strategy for breakfast. Our governance is how we organize, and the policies, the processes that we put in place and in paper in terms of delegation, authorities, power inside the organization, the code of conduct and whistleblowing and complaint response mechanism and etc. While our leaders are the role model who encourage openness, encourage inclusiveness, encourage that people speak up and encourage the good and, let's say, safeguarding culture among their teams. While when we speak about those governance and the leadership behavior inside the organization and the practices, these both form the culture, the safeguarding culture within the organization. That's why we wanted to have this conversation with donors, INGOs, and CSOs included forums, because we all, after we fix the internal, we go to raise awareness and to speak about how to establish safeguarding, let's say, culture inside the organization. We would love to have a continuation of this conversation, Shanaz. We have all of the emails, but we would love to have even mobile numbers. I'm visiting Bangladesh in February. We would love to run another continuation of the discussion, another roundtable with your respected organizations and yourselves. And allow me in the last couple of minutes to say, Shanaz, you have been an added value to the Resource and Support Hub. You were able to collect information, to connect us to the great people. Shanaz is leaving soon for another higher position. She will be working in Asia, not only Bangladesh, covering Bangladesh. We will be cooperating. She will be one of our champions within the Resource and Support Hub with other international organizations. I'll be the focal point in the meantime. We are recruiting now. I'm visiting Bangladesh in February, and I would love to get in touch with all of you in person. I'll finish with that. Thank you for the 2 hours. I didn't feel it. I will listen again to the recording to get some testimonials from your side and some things to be shared with the senior management in our reporting. See you soon, and thank you very much, Shanaz, and everybody who contributed for today.
Thank you so much, Vajdan. We have shared in chat a link in the chat box. Kindly take a minute to share your feedback and comments on the overall discussion. It's in the chat. And we have also shared the link of our website. I'm sure that you have been accessing a RSH website, but we have shared you the link also in the chat. Please take time to visit RSH, visit our resources, especially the local resources that we have developed in Bangla. that might be useful for your organization and team. And I'm sure today's discussion was very helpful for all of us, because I saw there was an open discussion, open sharing from the donor and also from the local CSO. We have quite honest on sharing our existing practices and also where we would love to go forward. So I really thank everyone, and your feedback is most welcome. We have 2 minutes left, so I'm sure that we can have your feedback on these 2 minutes.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kinan.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Shah. Hassan Bhai, thank you.
Thank you, Shahnaz and everyone. I really enjoyed every person's discussion, and I'm so excited to hear how people are thinking about it, because when I started, it was a long time ago. It was very different kind of, reaction of people. So it is so positive, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Chipapa, for all your insights and contribution. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. It was really wonderful contribution, and it was really pleasure hearing from all of you. Thank you. Take care, and have a lovely rest of the day.
Thank you.